Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to thank the honourable member for this question. Mr. Speaker, sir, just by way of background, the combination of the environmental, technological and political threats that we face today is indeed unprecedented. We know through aspects of the reports by reputable organizations such as the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, the average global temperature rise of a staggering 3.2 degrees Celsius just around the corner. Global emissions are not reduced by 43% in the next 8 years, Mr. Speaker, sir. The 1.5 degree threshold which the Pacific Island countries have been pushing for, which is imperative for securing the possibility for a safe future for Pacific Islands, Mr. Speaker, sir, will become an impossible aspiration. As you know, countries like Tuvalu, the highest peak above sea level is 12 feet. A rise in the global average temperature of over 3 degrees will mean unprecedented sea level rise and a rise in temperatures across the Pacific equatorial regions of the Earth of a magnitude that will make life untenable for many and most island nations. Already in Fiji, we've identified 43 villages that need to be moved to higher ground. Mr. Speaker, so in order to mitigate both these staggering risks and prepare for the impacts that will actually occur irrespective of the scale of global emissions, reductions achieved over the next decade, we need to develop solutions. We need to participate actively in the science, the research, the innovation, the legal issues and inquiry that will help define solutions that suit our context and indeed our needs, sir. The basis of policies we create and plan, we put in place, must be shaped by the evidence and the depth of analysis that helps to ensure we create answers to the right questions. Speaker, sir, as highlighted by the honourable member, we made significant stride against the evidence-based approach of our national climate change policy through the launch of the MOU between Monash University, one of the top universities not just in Australia but indeed the world, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the Fijian National University. The MOU, which was signed last week, sets out the basis for progressing a joint Monash FNU Pacific Islands countries Climate Change Research Centre. This is a partnership which will further complement the efforts of the existing research pursuits and institutions in the region, while helping to advance the knowledge and information we need to better confront the evolving climate crisis. Mr. Speaker, sir, what this partnership does, Mr. Speaker, sir, it will be led by a group of experts and experience of the Pacific Islanders, ensuring its work is grounded in the context and challenges we seek to address. We are also very glad, Mr. Speaker, sir, that Professor Paresh Narayan, who originally is from Navua, and who is a gold medalist from Monash University and one of the top 500 cited econometrists in Australia and indeed globally, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the one who in fact brought this proposal to FNU. And we're very glad that someone of his ilk is actually leading this particular charge, and the Monash University obviously has a lot of confidence in him, and therefore we are able to set up the centre, Mr. Speaker, sir. There will be a director that will be funded by the Monash University, who will be based at FNU. Once the director is appointed, sir, it will be he or she will be tasked with developing a 5-year strategy. Membership of other Pacific Island countries will be pursued, and a business plan for the implementation of the centre will be developed, which will strive to create a competitive research program equipped with the network and resources needed to both retain local experts while also attracting international research partnerships. And indeed, as we mentioned, one of the, I suppose, the positive things out of being at the coalface of climate change is that many people would like to be based in a country that is at the coalface of climate change to be able to carry out that research, Mr. Speaker, sir. The two universities have already undertaken a mapping of their internal capabilities. On the 22nd of April of this year, sir, 5 Monash University professors and 10 FNU academics attended a research boot camp at FNU Nasinu campus. At the boot camp, 3 collaborative seed projects aligned to climate change mitigation were put in place, Mr. Speaker, sir. In mental health, forestry and energy were identified. FNU and Monash University will fund these projects using the internal research funding mechanisms. The intent is to use this pilot work in the pursuit of future donor-sponsor funding in the fields, Mr. Speaker, sir. As highlighted, the world-leading expertise provided by Monash University and its renowned role in progressing climate change research and education, the Pacific will have a greater access to institution and knowledge needed to train and create the next generation of researchers and climate change risk management specialists needed to support regional adaptation efforts, sir. Last but not least, Mr. Speaker, sir, this partnership also is closely aligned with the objectives and requirements set out by our own Fijian, recently approved by Parliament Climate Change Act. The Act, Mr. Speaker, sir, requires national education programs and curriculums to include knowledge transfer on climate change to advance learning that helps us to create the skill sets and workforce that will help define Fiji's future. As highlighted yesterday, Mr. Speaker, sir, even many of the members, in particular on the other side, don't even feature or factor climate change even in their discourse or their discussions, or perhaps hopefully they will include that in their manifestos. The climate change is critically important to be able to have that taken into account even when developing policies, very simple policies. The Climate Change Act, which I hope they will look at, is also a framework and signal for new economic approach in which the protection and preservation of nature is actually valued. The Act sets out the legal basis for ensuring that the stewardship of and protection of the environment can be translated into jobs and careers. It calls for a national energy sector built and maintained by solar engineers and a sustainable tourism sector that is interwoven with our environment's best interests. Things like, for example, the Solar Institute that's being set up in Vanuatu, where we're bringing in women and grandmothers and mothers from all over Fiji, providing hostel accommodation, and they actually become trained engineers in maintaining solar systems that we put up. The Barefoot College, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, so we are very excited about this MOU, and we are very excited about the fact that we have an internationally recognized university that is collaborating with our national university, sir. Thank you.